Hey, this is 42. This video is about who ADOS should vote for and why. This is a continuation on a video that Jason Black made, another video from Garfield. Wu Zhao has spoken on this. Yvette Carnell did a video talking about HR40. And I listened to their arguments. I might, as I go through this, touch on some of the things that they had to say. In general, it comes down to one thing. I think Garfield put it best when he said, and. and that was in response to Jason Black. And, well, how do you want to do reparations? How do you make it law of the land? I think Yvette Carnell said it well when she said that HR40 is garbage. And it, as a litmus, we want to make sure that we can rewrite it. I think Jason Black was correct when he called the whole thing a scam because it's gone on for as long as it has. There's no real effort to push it. That's starting to change with ADOS. An advocacy movement is an effort now to push it, but then you also have to keep in mind that Yvette Carnell doesn't think highly of it. Antonio doesn't think too highly of it. I think Sandy Durrity, he thinks it's required. So ADOS, as far as the brain trust, and I might talk about more, and this may be a video I'll do in a month or so, because I'm going to be busy. Otherwise, I would do it sooner. But I might go into detail as to why there should be a brain trust and how it may be able to expand. And I'll touch on that in the sense that I'll say this. I like the idea of ADOS raising money. And if you have people who, for whatever reason, especially because I say they should sue MSNBC. But if you have people like Garfield who says he doesn't trust them, I don't think his reasons are rational. He doesn't trust Yvette and Antonio. He doesn't say he doesn't trust Sandy. But anyhow, one way to remedy this would be to have a treasury that has checks and balances. Another way is to sue an MSNBC. It wouldn't matter who was a charity. You'd have so much money you'd be able to buy up a portion of Congress. But the problem with doing that is you want the money to also have a level of income. It has to come back to you. Otherwise, you buy up a portion of Congress, it might not be seasoned to pass the law because you either don't have the White House, you don't have enough of public opinion, and you aren't able to sway the other portion. And then as time goes by, you might run into some countering where they're trying to vote people out who are in favor of reparations. Right now, you don't really have to worry about that because that already exists. It's always exists. Otherwise, it would have been the law of the land like it has been for other people, other animals, other carbon-based entities, if you include air and stuff like that. So we're left thinking, how do you do this? Now, the money right now, suing MSNBC, I don't want to talk too much about something you don't have. From what I know, I don't think ADOS wants to go down that route. I disagree with it totally. And that might be my biggest disagreement. And I understand it, though. I understand how it can be personal, because it was personal to me, how it would be more personal. Now, if ADOS was to work with FBA, they already do that, whatever. Foundational Black Americans, that's basically Tariq, Jason Black, Black Truth Forever. That's, I think that whole hurdle and the beef that was over what Yvette said about Francis Cress Welsing, that started to relax itself for the better of the common good. That hasn't come between anybody. But if I say they should work with in Cobra, we have a problem. And you're going to check me by saying, whoa, didn't that guy with the musty yellow daishiki who was every ounce of what it means to be controlled opposition, a bought and paid Sambo, that minister dude. Well, if in Cobra says, hey, he ain't one of us, then I can listen to some of the things that Garfield says it's positive about in Cobra. Because we might need to do something that in Cobra is better suited at, if you can show me, and this is something I wanted to call in and talk to Garfield about, if it's really true that in Cobra has sued some people and got some benefits, and that's why certain states get loans from, I think, Wells Fargo since 2018, I think it was, and whatever they did in 2007. There's some good to that, but there's also some bad that we have to consider before I get into who you should vote for. If you win a whole bunch of little victories, and it's spread from, it's in this state here, this state there, it's not going to consolidate and push the black power needle. But then you see, you have people say, hey, man, you've gotten reparations because the people in Rosewood got reparations. Well, shit, that ain't, you aren't replacing Rosewood with a bustling black community if, a handful of people get some payouts. So the reparation will never be as beneficial as what you had if you didn't have the human rights violations to begin with. And you can take that all the way to the Songhai Empire, the Great Ghana, and all that. You're always better off before it hits the fan. And I say that in context with colonialism and everything. But if, because I have seen, so I say if, under having studied in Cobra a little bit better, listening to, what's his name, Chief X. I don't like, a lot of in Cobra is just basically some elders who pretty much know the things they've got to pass. And it's not even about passing the baton, because in Cobra it was never really about the needed advocacy behind passing laws. It's more like, sue this person. What would be good and beneficial if you're going to take everything on from multiple battles here and there, don't have all of that go to a state where you can you get a tax benefit or a whole bunch of little things. Consolidate all the benefits while taking a portion of that to develop an since you already have the advocacy, a lobby group, and also develop have that thing ran nonprofit, a nonprofit lobby group. So you're constantly bringing back in income. It's a business. It's a business to be about reparations. That way you get whatever money from MSNBC, you don't go broke. If you don't get the money from MSNBC and you're having to base everything off of suing this bank and this bank, then you say, hey, you don't sprinkle everything so it doesn't really, you don't move the needle. You consolidate that for future benefits in a treasury, so everything can be consolidated into one package. And this is something that I've heard Antonio talk about too. But then in combination with that, you take whatever money to develop a nonprofit lobby group. And I've done a little research on that. I'm not 100% sure if it can be done like that. But you want it to somehow not just be a complete drain. It has to churn. And you don't want it to completely rely, because there's a way to do it. It might not be a straightforward way to do it, But there's a side door and a back door way to do it. I know that. Illegally. You can do it legally. I'm of the opinion, and I'm going to tell you that sometimes if you ain't right, you're right enough. To where you just got to make it, you got to make it churn like this. It's got to go like this. You can't necessarily trust the people who signed HR40. Anything that's languished around as long as it has is basically a scam. It's a look what I did. And I don't think Conyers put it forth thinking that it was actually going to be the law of the land. It was, you get, I've only seen the last two bills, and you get about 30 signatures on it. Let me see if anybody's come through recently. I have to refresh it. Let's see, it was the last person was G.K. Butterfield. Now I had to move him from over here. These are renegades to over here. Just because, see, here's the thing. You got to put this side on probation. These are the people that have co-sponsored it. You can give this side a heads up that, new normal. You're either over here or you're out of there. And the reason why you put this side on probation, because it's languished around with no intent to do anything with it. And a stipulation with this side, as far as getting our vote, is we got to be able to rewrite it. And one thing, to take it a step further, I'm going to go through some of the states that these people are in. If they're in your state, it's that whole thing about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. Because the worst enemies is somebody who's over here, but they ain't got no intent to pass it. It's just for show. These folks over here, they might think it can't be done like Clyburn, and we can't have that. That's just not our thing. There is no impossible. It's like I said in the last video. I take it from that song. I keep thinking Nina Simone. No, Billie Holiday. She has that song Crazy. It's about her being in love, and at one point she said, the difficult I'll do right now, the impossible might take a little while. You can't have that, and I like when Yvette Carnell says it, you can't have that lack of creativity. You have to be about, it gets done, damn it. Somebody asks how, we'll find a way. Matter of fact, we already got a way. Let's do it. Get inside and find out what's going on. And you'll be surprised. You might even get a little side job working for them. Get that intel. Be the spook that sat by the door, okay? Be the spook that sat inside the door. Find out how serious they are about this and push for a rewrite. That's got to be the big thing, is you got to put, like everybody's pretty much agreed that you got to put some teeth behind it. I think everybody that I named earlier said he would not disagree with the rewrite if we're doing the rewriting. We want some FBAs. We want some ADOS. And if they repudiate, I think that's the word, when you say something bad about somebody who said something dumb or worse, did something, if Cobra can cast out that demon that went on MSNBC, I think you can work with Cobra. Because I don't see him doing videos with other people in Cobra. To me, he seems like the face of it when he's not really it. But he said he was it. But I'm not. I mean, did he really say he was it? Is he really a Cobra? Because there's no excuse for what he did. You cannot go on TV and start set tripping against, especially when it's in your doctrine. So he must have said he was within Cobra. But other people from Cobra need to check him. They need to say, hey, no. Because we can see the shit. We can't trust you if you're going to pretend like you're not seeing this bullshit. So you can toss in Cobra out, but if you ain't trusting Yvette and Antonio and Sandy, we can work with FBI. Because it's going to have to expand anyway. And let's be real, Tariq and Jason Black, when they met up, and this is another reason why I disagree with Garfield, because he said that Marianne Williamson started the conversation on reparations. The video where Tariq, Jason Black, and Professor Black too said, hey, look, reparations is top on the agenda, that video got 130,000 views. The video where Marianne Williamson said that African Americans should get $100 billion in reparations, and that's what she's pushing for, at least the value of it, however it'll be. That video is still under 20,000 views last I looked, and I only looked a few days ago. The interview of Marianne Williamson with Yvette and Antonio, that video got about 60,000 views. So the reality is, the big thing that kind of made ADOS pop was getting Kamala Harris. When she got to shucking and jiving, that, and the movement behind ADOS, FBA, that's really what put reparations out there and got people talking about it. Not Marianne Williamson, though I will say this, Marianne Williamson did not follow that. She was independent. And she added to it, to be sure. But the thing is, she's just not big enough. When you had that whole reaction to Kamala Harris, that was big shit. That was coming from thousands of people, to the point where MSNBC said it was Russian robots. Kid you not, that's exactly what they did. That's why I said they gotta sue MSNBC. Stop talking about Joy Reid. She's just the front. I mean, she is... You can use her as an example of how you still got slavery shit going on today. She's the Willie Horton, for ADOS. But don't make it about we got to remove her off the air and shit's going to change. No, it's not. And really, you could go deeper into her because of some of her other guests that she's had. Like she had John McWhorter, who's against reparations. Made his career, moved up, writing against reparations, saying he don't want them and stuff like that. And she's with him, just talking shit about Trump, hyping the boogeyman, but completely antithesis of black power. Boogeyman bad, black power is bad enough to where that's who you got on there. Ain't saying nothing about reparations. Then when you do, you making it look stupid because you set tripping against another organization when the N-Cobra doctrine says you're not supposed to do that. So it's really throwing salt in it. And Yvette Carnell is right. Sheila Jackson Lee should not be the face of this. I trust her. I've heard too much about the same thing she was saying about how nobody liked her. But I will say this. If you're in Texas, in her area, you work for her. Be that spook that sat by the door. So we're going to start off. And I'm saying this because that should be what you do with this side. Keep them close. Make sure what's going on is on the up and up and push for a rewrite. That's what you do on this side. On this side, you can fire this video to them, and then after that, if they aren't showing up over here, like G.K. Butterfield, he was over here, now he's over here. If they're not moving over here, we got to get rid of them. It's just that simple. So I'm going to go through and name them so you know where you're at and how to do it, okay? You know who I'm talking about. So starting from the left, we have Sheila Jackson Lee. And I'm starting, and it goes in order of who signed it, okay? So the newer ones, they over here. They down here. The ones that signed it first day at the office on the new year, which is January 3rd, because they get some days off for New Year's, they over here at the top. So we got Sheila Jackson Lee right here. Then you got Jose Serrano, he's from New York. Steve Cohen, he's from Tennessee. All of them Democrats, by the way. Ain't no Republicans on this. And that's what I'm saying. Don't say ADOS is MAGA when I'm saying you need to get all the Republicans out the box. If you don't start seeing some act right, then persona non grata with the Republicans, get them all out the box. The only exception I'll say, and I'll say this, I won't even come back to it. If the Democratic Party runs somebody like Biden or Sanders who's against reparations, do not vote for them. And if you want to call that a Trump endorsement, you can endorse these nuts while you're at it. Because, let me be clear about this. We have to have a conditional vote moving forward. No more no conditional Democratic votes. Everything is conditional. If they run a candidate that does not honor our agenda after everything we've done for this country, motherfuck them. Vote green. Vote for, a Democratic candidate that was in favor of reparations. Put a protest vote. Do not endorse anyone who is against your agenda. You got to be firm about that. Let Trump win, let him lose. But don't, see, the worst thing that could happen is if the Democratic Party can win without you. That's why, even though I think a lot of this stuff is misframed, because you got Donald Trump hiring illegal aliens, I can't disagree with people who are against immigration because it saps away your political power. If the Democratic Party gets to the point where it can win without you, you're in real trouble, black people. Thankfully, we haven't gotten to that point. I mean, and if we do get to that point, it's only because Trump is such a motherfucker. But the thing is, the bigot vote is already inspired. So if they can't inspire the anti-bigot vote, which is what you would do with reparations, then they can continue to do what they've done. The Democratic Party, that's why they lost to Trump in the first place. They didn't inspire their people. They didn't inspire their base. The Democratic base, the main people who vote for Democrats at the highest percentage are black people and liberals. Bernie would inspire liberals, so I could see him having a chance. That's where you have to say, look, hey, the base ain't just liberals, it's black people. No vote for Bernie. Let them lose. Because that's the worst thing that could happen. That's worse than 4 more years of Trump. 4 more years of Trump is bad business for America, and it may not be that bad. I think it'll be bad. My opinion. But we'll see. And I say this as somebody who just gave you a reason why a lack of immigration or a lower population, while our population keeps, why that would be beneficial. So I'm not 100% against everything Trump stands for at all. But top to bottom, politically, I'm a liberal. I analyze things the way I see it is the dude is bad for the country, but we can endure it. So if they gonna run another bigot, because anybody that's in favor of reparations for everybody and everything else but not black people, that's another bigot. If they gonna run another bigot, then don't vote for a bigot. And it's not that hard. Black folks, do not vote for a bigot. Stay home. Share this video because this is a critical message. Do not vote for anybody who is against reparations ever again. Let Obama be the last. Or maybe Clinton, I don't know. Some people voted for Hillary. We got a lot of Hillary Clinton sycophants, and I wasn't even prepared for that. You know, and Garfield ain't telling it all the reason why. It's because of what happened over Kamala, at least with Talib Kweli. He bit her over that. Haven Bullets, I don't get it. I don't, Haven Bullets is basically just lying. And I've told him about that with other people. I'm like, dude, you're exaggerating stuff out of proportion in a way that's dishonest. And anyhow, let's keep it going. That's Khanna. He might be a potential presidential candidate. He's in California. That's Gregory Meeks. He's in New York. That's Gwen Moore. She's in, I think that's Wisconsin, WI. That's Jayapal, Pramila in Washington State. I think that's Jayapal. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. That's Henry Johnson, Georgia, also known as Hank. That's Donald Payne, New Jersey. I might get some of these states wrong, so bear with me. That's Yvette Clarke, New York. That's Bernice Johnson, Texas. These are all January 3rd people. That's Joyce Beatty from Ohio. That's Janice. I think it's spelled Schakowsky of Illinois. That's Bennie Thompson of Georgia. There's Barbara Lee of California. We still in the... See, I like the people that sign right away. That's Al Green. Let me find his name so I can find the next person. Texas. That's Eleanor Holmes of Washington, D.C. That's Bobby Rush of Illinois. That's Jerrold Nadler of New York. That's Danny Davis from Illinois. That's Elliot Engel, New York. That's Cedric Richmond, that's a dude, of, looks like Louisiana. That's Karen Bass, California. Dwight Evans of PA, I think that's Pennsylvania. We ain't got, what else? That's Frederica Wilson with the cowboy hat. She out of Florida. That's Adam Smith of Washington State. Terry Sewell from Alabama. Rashida Tlaib from Michigan. Now, the thing about her and Al Green is they both put forward articles of impeachment. If you want to remove Trump, impeach his ass. Don't ask us to vote for him if you're going to run a bullshit candidate. So, let me see. Where's Rashida Tlaib? From Frederica Wilson on, it's people who are after January 3rd. So, from Dwight Evans up, these are people who first day they run it. And that gives some value. So I say if you're in that area and you take my advice with these folk, you already know you're dealing with people who made it a point to do it first day on the job. Of the new year, not like they first actual day. And except for the people that are new. I don't know if we got anybody that's new that was first day. But anyhow, she and Al Green, they putting forward articles of impeachment. You got Tulsi Gabbard. Right now, she's my favorite candidate. The DNC don't like her. I don't like the DNC. They running too much. They running lies on her like they running on ADOS. And it's because she's anti-war. And, you know, the DNC, they like their war profits. Not profits as in, you know, they like the money because they don't predict the future when it comes to war. Otherwise, they'd know. And the Republicans are no better than that. That's Ayanna Pressley, MA, I think that's Massachusetts. That's Alan Lowenthal, California. And G.K. Butterfield, he was over here. He's like an octoroon or whatever, because he's part of the Congressional Black Caucus. He's in NC, I think that's North Carolina. I thought he was in Minnesota. But I think it was Sandy or somebody from ADO that said they were trying to contact him and they had success with somebody else before him. So they're a little bit more than just rah-rah social media advocacy. They talking to some of these people. Now, this group, you want to get them out of there. We're going to start with John Lewis. John Lewis was on it last year, so I don't know what's up with him now. But you have to send a reminder. You can fire out one shot. Maxine Waters, she wasn't on it this year or last. Got to get her out of there. Sanford Bishop. His name is Sanford. James Clyburn, he's made a point that he can't figure out reparations except for other people. And that 10, 20, 30, whatever it's called, plan ain't no good. That's bad legislation for what it's intended to do. So you got to get them out. Let me say where they're at, too. John Lewis is Georgia. Maxine Waters, California. Sanford Bishop, Georgia. Clyburn is South Carolina. Alcee Hastings, Florida. Bobby Scott, Virginia. Elijah Cummings, it's like Maryland. David Scott, Georgia. Emmanuel Cleaver, North Carolina. This is Mark Vesey, Texas. And that's, actually, that's not Emmanuel Cleaver. That's David Scott, Georgia. That's William Lacey Clay. Looks like Missouri. So Elijah Cummings. Going back, correcting a little bit, because I had to replace G.K. Butterfield was here. I had to move him over here. And I replaced him with Mark Vesey. So that's Emmanuel Cleaver. Looks like Missouri. M.O. Andre Carson, Indiana. And we got brothers winning office in Indiana. You're going to have to replace them with a white liberal, whatever you can find that is not going against the agenda. And do this litmus so you can develop, at least you got to get the black people locked down. It's going to be hard, like, to have white folks, and you got a few that are about black power more than black people themselves. Obviously, it's gone down, but it's going to be hard to do. So that's Marshall Fudge of Ohio, Hakeem Jeffries, New York, Robin Kelly, Illinois, Alma Adams, North Carolina, Brenda Smith, Michigan, Stacy Plaskett, it's like Virginia, VI, Bonnie Watson Coleman, New Jersey, Lisa Blunt, Rochester, what is Denver? DE? Delaware, I guess. And we got sisters winning it in Delaware. Okay. Anthony Brown, Missouri. Val Butler Demings, Florida. Al Lawson, Florida. A. Donald, looks like Meechin, Virginia. Stephen Horsford, Nevada. Colin Allred, Texas. Antonio Delgado, New York. Johanna Hayes, Connecticut. Lucy McBath, Georgia. Joe Negus, Colorado. Man, we're winning in Colorado. And Alon Omar, Minnesota. I think she's right about Obama. She's right about Jews controlling government. And we're about to get her right on out of there if she doesn't move over. Let these Justice Democrats know that we don't care if they put justice in front of their name. It's their actions that will get them out of office. Okay? Alon Omar, Minnesota. Get her up out of there. But I say give them a flash, because the thing is, we haven't had an agenda since Martin Luther King. So I'm willing to give them a day to know that there's a new sheriff in town. And if they're branded renegade, as they are right now, they will remain a renegade and they're going to get out of there. We're going to have to purge. This side is on probation. That's it. I'm going to call it a video. I'll be gone for a little bit. When I come back, I might talk about leadership. Might even throw some compilation videos that don't take much time to do in the meantime. So thank you. Peace. I mean, what do people in the videos with? And justice. So long.